stop and render aid? Nope, he made the choice that Mr. Treu's life is more important than those Girl Scouts' lives.
It was an emotional day and tense day in Chippewa County Court as Colten Treu learned his fate.
54 years is what he will spend in prison.
That's 11 years for each one of the 4 people he killed and another for causing great bodily harm to the 5th victim who survived. Our top story.
The victim's family and friends packed the courtroom again this morning as both the defense and prosecution made their arguments for the severity of Treu's punishment.
The prosecution displayed a picture of the Girl Scout troop he hit after huffing aerosol fumes on November 3rd, 2018. 4 people died: 9-year-old Jana Kelly, 10-year-old Autumn Helgeson, 10-year-old Haley Hickel, and Haley's mother, Sarah Schneider. Another victim, Madeline Zwiefelhofer, was severely injured. Based on the brutality of this crime, prosecutors recommended Treu serve 90 years behind bars.
This is a very significant situation. It was a very significant crash, and it should carry with it a very significant punishment for it.
The defense urged the judge to show leniency. They pointed to Treu's lack of prior felony convictions and claimed he had a substance abuse problem that was not properly addressed.
There's hope with Colten. We can fix him and change him, and I know he can do that.
Treu himself then made a statement, for the first time expressing remorse directly to the families impacted by his decisions.
I can't give back what I have taken. I want to. Lord knows I want to.
Judge James Isaacson then made his ruling. He says he took a number of factors into consideration, including the viciousness of the crime. In the end, he sentenced Treu to 54 years in prison, followed by 45 years of extended supervision.
But you'll be held in custody until you're in your 70s.
If he serves the entire sentence, Treu will be 76 years old when he takes his first steps out of prison.
But not everyone was satisfied with the sentence. Our own Katrina Lim joins us live at the courthouse to tell us if those affected thought justice was served. Katrina?
This afternoon, I spoke with Brian Kelly, the father of Jana Kelly, who was one of 4 people struck and killed by Colten Treu. Kelly was among many family members urging the judge to impose the strictest penalty possible. He referenced Treu's admitting to guilt in the case and the pain and suffering he caused so many members of the Chippewa Falls community. Kelly says, despite the fact Treu will be a senior citizen when he is eventually released, this sentence was not severe enough.
That seemed kind of light to me, so we were hoping for a little more, I think, in our family. It's not a guarantee that it's going to be life in prison with that sentence, and that was kind of our goal, is that none of us would ever have to see him again.
News 18 also spoke with both the prosecuting and defense attorneys, who were both hoping for a different result.
It's obviously not a number that we wanted. You know, I think we prepared for everything, knowing that this was going to be a big number.
Obviously, I would have preferred a more lengthy sentence regarding the recommendations that the state was making. It's ultimately up to the judge to determine what is appropriate and proper. I think justice was served, though, and that he was held accountable for what he did on November 3rd of 2018.
Also told us the family started an organization called the Jana Kelly Memorial Foundation in honor of his daughter. They plan on doing different fundraisers every year, with the proceeds going to a worthy cause in the area.
All right, thanks, Katrina. Kelly adds they're still involved with the Girl Scouts and that they're closer with the troop than ever before.
The Girl Scouts of the Northwestern Great Lakes released a statement following today's hearing, saying in part they hope today's sentencing provides some small measure of closure as the families continue to try and rebuild after immeasurable loss. We also have that statement at WQOW.com. Now, this is not the end of Treu's legal trouble. Just weeks before that Chippewa Falls crash, he was accused in a Rusk County crash.
He's accused in a rollover crash while using drugs. He faces a number of drug charges, including meth possession and operating with a controlled substance.
A 2-day jury trial scheduled for late May. He faces a maximum penalty of 6.5 more years if convicted on all charges.